Combo has a problem in Commander. Lots of people don't like combo, and there are many playgroups and stores that try to rule zero combo out of their playgroups. They may try to ban infinite combos, or just choose not to play against decks with infinite combos in them when the group talks about their decks before the game begins. Some have tried to limit the number of times you can perform a certain game action in a turn, like saying you can only use your Samwise Gamgee, Cauldron Familiar, and Viscera Seer combo 4 times and then you have to stop. These are all flawed and imperfect ways to address the combo playstyle. Some infinite combos require 4 or more pieces and don't happen until turn 10 or so. Should those be banned too because it's technically infinite? Or should it be allowed because it requires so much footwork to pull it off? Is turn 10 too early to end the game? Limiting the number of times a game action can be played is also not a great answer. It prevents non-infinites from working, neutering aristocrat decks or really any kind of activated abilities. Trying to hamper combo hampers entire deck archetypes that aren't combo as well. But why do some people dislike combo so much? There are so many people that either don't want to play against combo or dislike it when they do. Why is that? Most of the complaints I've heard were that combo can win the game too quickly, combo decks can win the game out of nowhere, and that combo finishes feel anticlimactic because they invalidate all the other things that happened in the game before that point. All your attacks, removal, and ramp just didn't matter because another player drew or tutored for the right 2 or 3 cards. Another complaint is that combo finishes can feel inevitable and take a lot of time. They can feel inevitable because there are few ways to interact with them, especially if they don't require any permanence as part of the combo, or the permanents can do their thing in response to removal being cast. Combo decks that require permanents can sometimes be stopped with a timely removal spell, but not all of them use permanents or will even be slowed down by a removal spell. And they can take a lot of time because combo decks can require dozens or even hundreds of game actions to get to a winning board state. In 60 card, combo is a very important piece of most formats that contributes to the health of the metagame, and I think combo can be a valuable playstyle in Commander as well. It provides an option to build toward that doesn't require you to play a mid-range value pile, and can prey on those ramp and draw value piles that have arguably become too strong in the format. What are the current options for dealing with combo? You need to beat the combo player before they can go off, prevent them from comboing with stacks effects, or counter key spells while they're comboing off. Winning the game quickly isn't a good option to combat combo, because if you can win before they can go off, then it doesn't really matter that they're playing combo. You'd beat any deck, combo or not, and you still didn't interact with them. Stacks is a great option, but has its own stigma. Light stacks should be included more in casual decks, but the specificity of the stacks effects you need make it unreliable as well. You can hope you drew and can land your Thorn of Amethyst and that it's relevant, but if it's not the exact right answer, it's not helping you much to include in your deck. And countering or targeting key spells on the stack is limited to just a few colors. So how do we fix this? How do we bridge the gap between players that like combo and players that don't like to see it? Can we make combo palatable enough to both groups that it becomes a fun and acceptable playstyle at casual tables? I think there is a way. I want to see more stack interaction in every color. Blue has a clear dominance on being able to interact with spells on the stack. It can counter spells, copy them, redirect them, even change the color of spells on the stack. Blue has little problem interacting with combo decks. Red and white both have some decent and playable interaction. Red has gotten Tybalt's Trickery, Deflecting Swat, and copy effects like Dualcaster Mage. It has some means of interacting with the stack, and a handful that are playable and relevant enough to interact with combo decks and regular non-combo casual decks. White has gotten the biggest upgrade by getting Reprieve, Lapse of Certainty, and recently Aven Interrupter. These are all cheap and playable stack interaction that can interrupt a combo deck on the turn they're trying to win. White may actually be the second best color at reliably disrupting spell-based combos, and these spells play double duty as interaction against aggro, control, and other archetypes. Black doesn't have much that's playable, just Dash Hopes, Imp's Mischief, and some even more fringe cards. Dash Hopes is very unreliable, and Imp's Mischief is only situationally relevant. Green has even fewer options. mostly focused on protecting its own spells or permanents. It has Autumn's Veil, Veil of Summer, and Avoid Fate. None of these can be used to prevent an opponent's spell-based combo. Colorless decks have Warping Wail and now Null Elemental Blast to combat spells on the stack, other than Kozilek the Great Distortion, which costs 10 mana and won't solve your problems with combo decks. There are also spells that can counter spells that target your permanents, but those don't interact with combo either. Most colors have a few color-specific counterspells, like black having Death Grip and green having Life Force. Almost all of these are very fringe and unreliable. They aren't great options to include in your decks because you're not guaranteed to play against those colors. The most playable out of this category is Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblast, and maybe even Guttural Response because of Blue's Stranglehold on the stack. What I would like to see is a handful of playable stack interaction cards for each color. I don't want them to be as powerful as Blue. I don't want to throw the color pie out the window. I just want it to grow a little bit to meet the challenges the game has today. WotC has done a pretty good job of finding flavorful ways for each color to draw cards. White cantrips with small creatures, tokens, or when other players meet a certain condition. Green draws with creature ETBs or based off of a creature's power. Red has gotten looting and impulse draw. Blue and black have both always had good draw and didn't need much of an update. Many players argued against white and red getting any form of draw, saying that it didn't make sense in the color pie, and that they had those weaknesses for a reason. I never agreed with this idea. Drawing cards is a fundamental part of the game of Magic, just like creatures. And saying that white and red shouldn't draw cards because they're the colors that care about it the least, in my mind, is like saying that blue shouldn't have creatures because it's the color that cares about them the least. A color not having creatures and a color not having access to extra cards is decidedly making them play completely different and creating a two ships passing in the night lack of interaction. WotC has obviously changed its mind and given every color access to some kind of card draw. Some colors are better at it, and some are worse based off of the color pie. And I think that's great. I want to see the same thing happen with stack interaction. The stack is another fundamental part of the game that all colors should interact with regularly. Green and black decks should be able to compete and interact with blue and red decks that play only or mostly on the stack. Every color should be able to interact with and have some kind of answer to every other color. What if red had another Chaos Warp for spells? 3 mana, shuffle a spell into its owner's library and reveal the next spell on top and cast it. It's not a hard counter, it gives your opponents a random spell, but can make a player's game-winning combo not work. And it's relevant enough against non-combo decks as well. Green could have some kind of stack interaction that involves creatures. Spiketail Hatchling effects could bleed into green, or a 3-mana spider that could have a sack ability that counters non-creature spells. It would give green a way to interact with storm or spell-based combo decks while forcing it to play at sorcery speed and have its interaction based off of creatures. Would every green deck play it? Probably not. But would it give green a much-needed way to interact? Yep. Black is a little tougher. Traditionally, black deals with combo and control with discard. However, discard is not reactive, doesn't interact with the stack at instant speed, and is just also nearly useless in Commander. Thoughtseize does not solve your problems in Commander and is virtually unplayable. Black could require Punisher effects to interact with the stack like it did with Perplex. It could have a new kind of Punisher effect that would be more relevant, like an instant that gains control of a non-creature spell unless its owner sacrifices their commander, or counters a non-creature spell unless its owner sacrifices a creature with mana value 4 or greater. Granted, some of these ideas aren't foolproof and probably need a good amount of work, but I trust that the talented designers at Wizards of the Coast can come up with flavorful and appropriate ways for each color to interact with the stack if they put their minds to it. I think it's very possible for every color to have stack interaction that won't destroy the color pie. Cards that are playable, but worse than blue, and varying in power based off of their color pie's philosophy. If each color had regular stack interaction and every deck had the ability to play cards that are relevant against combo decks that live mostly on the stack, but are still relevant and useful in casual decks, combo wouldn't be such a problem for a lot of people. If WotC provided common ways for casual players to fight back against combo decks, maybe they wouldn't be so taboo and overpowered in those casual pods. If your Is It Spellslinger combo deck's Crackle with Power could be interrupted by a commonly played green version of Glen Alondra Archmage, then maybe those casual players wouldn't groan when they see you storming off. I want to live in a world where combo decks are an acceptable way of playing in casual, alongside the aggro, control, and mid-range decks that already exist. But I don't want those combo decks to be overpowered. I want them to be able to be interacted with easily enough that it isn't a feel-bad moment when a player brings a combo deck they like to a table. I want players to be able to bring combo decks they're excited about, and for them and the other players to have a fair and fun play experience. I think designs like the ones we talked about can go a long way to making that happen. What do you all think? Do you think each color should have some kind of flavorful stack interaction? Or would black and green being able to respond to spells destroy the color pie? Would commonly played cards that can interact with the stack make combo decks more palatable to more players? How would you fix the combo problem? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe for more Magic the Gathering content. Have a nice rest of your day, and I'll see you later.